Hello everyone. Today I'm back to continue sharing the story about the single mother, Hoai. I hope you all enjoy the video. As the year drew to a close, the small home of Hoai and Officer Hung was filled with the warm, excited atmosphere of an upcoming wedding. They didn't have many relatives, and their circle of friends could be counted on one hand, but that didn't bother them at all. In fact, the simplicity of it made Hoai feel that everything was perfect, like this wedding was meant only for the people who truly loved them. That evening, while the two were spreading their wedding album across the table to choose a photo for the ceremony backdrop, Hoai suddenly looked up and spoke in a rare serious tone. "Remember, we have to invite Tiểu San and Hoài to come early that day. I want them to be the first ones there." Hung set his pen down and smiled gently at his soon-to-be wife. "I'll remember. We don't have many friends, so the ones you cherish, I treasure even more." Hoai smiled, her eyes sparkling with happiness. Ever since she met Tiểu San, she had felt the girl's sincerity, simple, genuine, and warm. On her happiest day, she wanted Tiểu San to be one of the most beautiful witnesses to her journey toward happiness. "I don't need many people," she whispered, unconsciously intertwining her fingers with Hung's. "Just those who truly wish us well, that's enough." Hung squeezed her hand gently, his eyes steady. "And the most important thing is that you and I will have each other." In that warm, quiet room, they continued planning their wedding, from the bouquet to the color theme. Every detail, no matter how small, was filled with love and care. There was no need for a huge crowd or a glamorous stage, just a few close friends, a few laughs, and a few heartfelt blessings were enough to create a day worth remembering. Resting her head on Hung's shoulder, Hoai closed her eyes. "A small wedding, but it's the greatest joy of my life." Hung kissed her forehead and replied with a deep, gentle voice. "Because my bride is one of a kind." When Tiểu San received the news that Hoai and her older brother were getting married, her entire day lit up. She stood by the window, still holding her phone, her smile refusing to fade. Joy welled up inside her, not only because Hoai and Officer Hung had finally overcome all hardships to reach this happy ending, but also because her mother had fully opened her heart and accepted Hoai as part of their family. "At last, the day has come," Tiểu San whispered, her eyes shimmering. Without wasting a second, she called Hoai, unable to hide her excitement. "Hi. Hoai and on Hung, they're getting married. And my mom agreed to everything. I'm so happy." Hoai hadn't even responded yet, but he could already hear her bright laughter through the phone. He paused for a few seconds, just long enough for his heart to soften, then walked toward her just as she ended the call. Looking at her radiant face, her eyes glowing like a child receiving a gift, he couldn't help himself. Hoai reached out and gently held her small hand, squeezing it as if to share his warmth. "Seeing you this happy," he said softly, voice warm and sincere, "makes me happy too." Tiểu San looked up, her cheeks flushing pink. Hoai leaned a little closer, still holding her hand firmly. "San, one day, I'll give you a wedding just as beautiful. I promise. But, you have to wait for me, okay?" Tiểu San's heart skipped a beat. She didn't say anything, just nodded gently. But her eyes sparkled brighter than ever, full of emotion, hope, and unwavering trust in his promise. In that moment, her smile seemed to brighten the whole room. And seeing her like that only strengthened Hoai's determination. The wedding of Hoai and Hung wasn't just a family celebration, it was a quiet reminder that sincere love will always find its rightful ending. As the evening light spilled in through the window, Hoai gently tightened his hold on her hand. "I promise. I won't make you wait long." The next morning, Tiểu San woke up earlier than usual. She wanted to prepare a meaningful wedding gift for Hoai and her older brother. She wasn't wealthy, but she had always believed that the things made from the heart were more precious than anything money could buy. She flipped through her notebook, sketched a few ideas, then chewed on her pen in thought. Hoai walked into the living room and saw her working so intently that he couldn't help but laugh softly. "You're really taking this seriously, huh?" Tiểu San looked up, eyes sparkling with excitement. "Of course. It's Hoai's wedding. I want to make something with my own hands for her. Things from stores can't compare. Hoai leaned over the table, looking at the page filled with cute, messy sketches. So what are you planning to make? I want to make a big picture frame. I'll put a memorable photo of the two of them in the center, and decorate the edges with dried flowers. Handmade things always turn out beautiful. Hoai looked at her with gentle affection. Then let me help. A wedding gift from both of us will be even more meaningful. Hearing him say that, warmth bloomed in Tieu San's chest. She nodded eagerly. In the afternoon, Hoai took her to a craft store. She ran from one corner to another, her eyes lighting up every time she saw dried flowers, wooden frames, twine, lace ribbons. Hoai quietly followed behind, carrying the basket and placing everything she liked into it, like a patient, tender husband-to-be. Did I pick too much? Is this expensive? Tieu San suddenly froze. Hoai gently pinched her nose. It's their wedding, don't think about the cost. Besides, for our wedding someday, I'll let you pick even more. Tieu San's face turned bright red as she quickly lowered her head, pretending to examine ribbons just to hide her embarrassment. That evening, they sat together at the dining table to begin crafting. Hoai carefully sanded the corners of the frame while Tieu San arranged the dried flowers into a wreath shape. Every time she frowned because a petal shifted out of place, Hoai would gently adjust it for her. You're really good at this, she murmured. Hoai smiled. I just want your gift to be perfect. That sentence made Tieu San's heart melt completely. Throughout the night, they talked while working, about the upcoming wedding, about Hoai's dress, about what color envelope to choose. Hoai even teased. When it's our turn, you'd better wear a beautiful wedding dress. If I can't take my eyes off you, don't blame me. Tieu San turned crimson and lightly swatted his arm. Who said I'm marrying you? Hoai caught her hand, his voice lowering, steady and sure. I did. The moment felt so warm that it seemed love itself was filling every corner of the room. When they finally finished, the handmade frame was so beautiful that even Tieu San was surprised. She hugged the gift to her chest, her eyes shining brightly. Hoai will definitely love it. Standing behind her, Hoai slowly wrapped his arms around her waist and rested his chin on her shoulder. I love it too, because the person I care about made it with her whole heart. Tieu San leaned her head against him, her heart light yet filled with hope. A small wedding gift, but a big step forward in their own journey of love. The wedding day finally arrived. From early morning, Hoai's small house was filled with light and laughter. When the bedroom door opened, everyone froze for a moment. Hoai stepped out in a stunning wedding gown, so beautiful even she felt as if she were dreaming. The long white dress gently grazed the floor, adorned with tiny crystals that sparkled with every ray of sunlight. Her hair was tied in an elegant bun, a few strands framing her face and making her look both graceful and more mature than ever. Hung waited by the doorway, unable to hide his awe. He had seen Hoai thousands of times, but today, it felt like he was seeing the most beautiful version of her. You look incredible, he whispered, voice slightly hoarse but overflowing with sincerity. Hoai smiled, extending her slightly trembling hand. Hung immediately took it, squeezing gently, as if promising he would hold her hand for the rest of his life. As the opening music played, the couple slowly walked down the aisle. There weren't many guests, just a few loved ones, but every gaze was filled with joy. Tieu San and Hoai sat in the front row, unable to hold back their emotions as they watched their friends walk toward happiness. Mrs. Thoa discreetly wiped her tears, she had waited so long to see her beloved daughter step into a better, brighter chapter of life. But the warmest moment of all was Tony. The little boy, dressed in a tiny vest, ran to Hung's side and grabbed his hand as if he'd been waiting his whole life for that moment. Daddy Hung, can I walk Mommy too? He asked in a sweet, innocent voice. The entire hall burst into joyful laughter. Hung bent down and gently patted the boy's head, a kind smile spreading across his face. Today, Daddy will walk Mommy, but in the future, you can always hold her hand. Tony grinned ear to ear, then held Hoi's hand tightly as the three of them walked toward the stage. The sight softened everyone's hearts. A new family had been formed, built on love, perseverance, and acceptance. As the lights glowed softly, Hoi's turned to look at Hung, her eyes filled with pure happiness, not flashy, not extravagant, just the three of them, and the people who loved them. Hung lifted her hand and placed a gentle kiss on it. "Thank you, for choosing me." Hoi's replied softly, her voice trembling yet smiling. "I'm the one who's grateful." Below the stage, Tieu San held Hoi's hand tightly, her heart swelling with emotion. She silently wished her brother and Hoi's a lifetime of happiness, and somewhere deep inside, she wondered when she would walk down the aisle in the arms of the man she loved. The wedding reception took place in a warm, intimate space, not extravagant, but overflowing with laughter and sincerity. Soft golden lights were strung around the yard, their gentle glow reflecting off the joyful faces of the bride and groom. On the small stage, Hoi's and Hung kept bowing to thank everyone for their blessings, while Tony dashed around like a little bird, proudly showing off his tiny vest and telling everyone about "my daddy Hung." Standing beside Hoi, Tieu San felt her heart as light as the wind. She looked at her older brother, someone who had endured so much pain, now holding the hand of the woman he loved, with eyes brighter than she had seen in years. The sight made her smile without even realizing it. After the wedding cake was cut, the host invited the bride and groom to join the guest tables. Tieu San looked at Hoi, a bit nervous. "Hoi, can we give them the gift now?" Hoi nodded with a gentle smile. "Let me carry it for you." The two walked toward the couple. The moment Hoi's saw Tieu San approaching, she immediately stopped her conversation and hugged her tightly. "San. Thanks to you, I managed to stay calm before walking down the aisle. Seeing you here makes me so happy." Tieu San laughed. "Anyone would be happy looking at you today, you're gorgeous." Hoi placed the large gift box in front of Hoi's. When the wrapping paper came off, the handmade wooden frame appeared. Under the warm lights, the dried flowers shimmered as if they still carried their natural fragrance. In the center was a wedding photo of Hoi's and Hung holding hands beneath a row of green trees. Hoi's lifted a hand to cover her mouth, eyes filling with tears. "Oh my God, this is beautiful. Did you make this, San?" Tieu San nodded, pride glimmering in her eyes. "Yes, Hoi and I made it together. I wanted your wedding to have something a little more meaningful than ordinary gifts." Hung studied the frame for a moment, then turned to Tieu San and spoke sincerely. "Thank you. I truly treasure this. It's not just a wedding gift, but a memory of our family." Tony ran over, his eyes sparkling. "It's so pretty. We should hang it in the living room so everyone who visits can see it." Everyone burst into laughter. Hoi's hugged Tieu San again, whispering softly. "Thank you for being here, and for always being by my side." Tieu San hugged her back, warmth spreading through her chest. "You deserve every bit of this happiness." Beside them, Hoi watched the scene, his heart softening. He placed a hand on Tieu San's shoulder and gently squeezed it, as if saying, "I'm proud of you." The atmosphere became even warmer, as though that little handmade gift had tied everyone together. When the celebration reached its peak, the host invited the bride and groom onto the stage for their first dance. A tender melody began to play, the soft rhythm smoothing the air like silk. Hoi's placed her hand on Hung's shoulder, and he held her waist firmly yet lovingly. Under the golden lights, they swayed slowly to the music. Their eyes stayed locked, as if no one else existed in the world. Hoi's whispered, "I never thought I'd have a day like this." Hung lowered his head, resting his forehead on hers. "I didn't either. But today happened because you never let go of me." Hoi's eyes shimmered. "We have to be happy, okay?" "I promise," he answered, his voice deeper than the music surrounding them. Tony stood below the stage, arms folded, smiling so wide his cheeks nearly disappeared. "Mommy and Daddy Hung danced so pretty." Mrs. Thoa laughed. "When you grow up, you'll dance like that with someone you love too." Tony looked up innocently. I can dance with mommy first. Laughter rippled across the hall. When the first dance ended, the host invited everyone onto the dance floor. Hoai looked at Tiểu San for a moment, then extended his hand to her. May I have this dance? Tiểu San blinked, startled, her cheeks turning rosy from shyness. I'm not good at dancing. Hoai chuckled, his voice unusually gentle. I know. So I'll lead you. He took her hand and guided her to the center of the floor. Tiểu San placed her hand on his shoulder, her heart pounding, unsure whether it was the music or the man in front of her. Hoai leaned down and whispered. Today is Hoai and Hung's wedding. But seeing you smile all day, I think, on our wedding day, you'd look even more beautiful. Tiểu San's eyes widened. Hoai, don't say things like that. Hoai tightened his hold, his gaze more serious than ever. I'm being honest. You deserve a day like this. And I want to be the one standing beside you on that day. Tiểu San's heart almost stopped. In that moment, the music, the laughter, the chatter, all faded away, leaving only the warmth of Hoai's hand and the depth in his eyes. She lowered her gaze shyly, but her lips curved up on their own. If it's you. I don't think I would say no. Hoai laughed softly at her expression, then leaned close to whisper. Then wait for me, Tiểu San. To the slow rhythm of the music, they spun gently. The light reflected off her face, making her look so soft and beautiful that Hoai's heart tightened. In that moment, there wasn't just one happy couple at the wedding. There was another love quietly blooming, steady, sweet, and growing stronger with each passing day. The wedding celebration ended with laughter and the warm glow of golden lights. When most of the guests had already left, Hoai stood at the entrance of the hall, watching the silhouettes of Tiểu San and Hoai hand in hand disappearing into the distance. A gentle, satisfied smile formed on her lips. Hung walked up and rested a hand on her shoulder. Tired, sweetheart? Hoai shook her head, her eyes still shimmering with emotion. No, today is the happiest day of my life. Hung took her hand and lifted it to his lips for a soft kiss. Then let's go home, my love. Just that simple sentence made her heart flutter. That night, inside their new home, modestly decorated yet cozy, soft golden lights glowed gently, and the faint scent of candles filled the air. Hoai entered the bedroom first. She sat at the edge of the bed, trying to fix her slightly messy hair after the long day. Her wedding gown still hugged her body, making her feel both nervous and overwhelmed with emotion. Footsteps approached, and she looked up. Hung had changed into a white shirt, still holding her small bridal bouquet. Let me put this away for you, he said. Hoai nodded gently. He walked toward her and began removing each tiny hairpin, his movements tender, as if afraid of hurting her. In the mirror, she could see his gentle eyes, and a peaceful warmth spread through her chest. When her hair finally fell softly over her shoulders, she whispered. Today, I still feel like I'm dreaming. Hung sat down beside her, taking her hand in his voice low but steady. It's not a dream. From now on, every day will be real like this. Hoai leaned her head on his shoulder, her voice trembling slightly. I never thought I'd meet someone who would love me and my son this much. Even Tony loves you. Hung squeezed her hand gently, answering with the deepest sincerity. I promise I'll love both of you, for the rest of my life. The room grew even softer, quieter. Hung carefully helped her remove the heavy wedding gown, each movement slow, deliberate, and full of respect. Hoai felt her heartbeat quicken, but she no longer felt shy. Instead, it was trust and warmth blooming inside her. When she was finally left in her light, soft nightdress, she turned to him. Their eyes met, and without any words, everything they wanted to say was conveyed in that quiet, loving gaze. Hung raised a hand to gently stroke her cheek, his voice dropping lower. Thank you, for choosing me. Hoai smiled faintly, whispering back. I chose you, because you're worth it. He leaned down and placed a tender kiss on her lips, gentle, reverent, overflowing with love. Not hurried, not intense, just the soft meeting of two hearts that had waited a long time for this moment. That night, the room was bathed in warm golden light. Only their shared warmth filled the space, surrounding them in trust and happiness. A quiet night, unpretentious and peaceful, marked by genuine love and the beginning of a new family written from the synchronized beats of two hearts.
Hello mọi người, lại là mình đây, rất vui được gặp lại mọi người trong video của mình nha. Hôm nay câu chuyện mình chia sẻ cho mọi người về người mẹ đơn thân Hoài ca và cảnh sát Hùng. Thì cảnh sát Hùng chính là anh trai của Tiểu San. Sau những biến cố, những khó khăn thì cuối cùng cảnh sát Hùng và Hoài ca cũng đến được với nhau. Và Tiểu San khi chứng kiến những khoảnh khắc ấy thì rất là hạnh phúc cho anh của mình. Và cô cũng ao ước có một đám cưới dành cho mình, một hạnh phúc trọn vẹn sau những khổ đau. Liệu rằng Tiểu San và Hải sẽ đi về đâu và cuộc sống mới của Hoài ca và Hùng sẽ như thế nào? Thì mời mọi người cùng đón xem ở những video tiếp theo nha. Cảm ơn mọi người đã xem hết video hôm nay và ủng hộ kênh của mình. Hy vọng rằng mọi người sẽ đồng hành cùng mình trong thời gian sắp tới và vẫn yêu thích những câu chuyện mà mình chia sẻ. Hẹn gặp lại mọi người ở video lần sau nhé.